Welcome back into Northeast Current on the ION Network, and thank you for spending your morning with us. I'm Kate Moss. We're here at the former Blakely Insane Asylum. Has a lot of paranormal activity inside, supposedly. We're going to go inside and take a look and talk to Mark Keyes, who has a book out about the paranormal experiences from a detective's point of view called Chasing Shadows.
From downtown Scranton, this is Northeast Current. WQPX invites you to join us as we explore public affairs, current events, and arts and culture in northeastern and central Pennsylvania. Now let's meet today's guests on Northeast Current.
Welcome into Northeast Current on the ION Network. My name is Kate Moss, and we're at the former Blakely Insane Asylum in Waverly, Pennsylvania with Mark Keyes, who is a member of the Pennsylvania Paranormal Association. He actually is the founder, you and your wife, Lauren. And we've had you on the show before, but this is the big news. Tell us a little bit about it.
That is the big news. I just wrote and had a book published called Chasing Shadows, a criminal investigator's look into the paranormal. And it about a 30-year period of my life, and explains why I got into this and how we created the group, some of my experiences, and how I take a criminal investigator's look into locations that are haunted.
Because you are a criminal investigator for a living. So it's a really interesting take on the paranormal. We're going to go inside and talk some more about the paranormal and Chasing Shadows, so stay tuned. We're here in the former Blakely Insane Asylum, and Mark's going to give us a little tour of the basement. This is creepy.
This is creepy, but you know what? It's also hugely significant from a historical standpoint. Because as you can see, a lot of the building is still in its original form, and you know, definitely weathered, and it's got that creepy look, but it's just a great place. And
this was actually featured on the series The Haunted.
It was on Animal Planet originally, and Discovery moved it over to Destination America, and through October it's going to be aired on both networks.
And the Pennsylvania Paranormal Association, which you founded with your wife, they were actually on, you guys were actually on there too, correct?
We were featured on 9 episodes, and it started off with just 2, and they liked the work we did, and we had some very unique cases. And it just sort of snowballed from there, and they came back and asked us to investigate a few cases that they had, and you know, we ended up being repeat guests on the show.
Well, if you remember, we went to Plymouth meeting earlier this year with Mark and his team, and we did a paranormal investigation with them. That was pretty cool.
That was another great place. That was a 200-year-old home, and a lot of history to that place as well.
And I remember the trapdoor in the basement that led to the Underground Railroad, the original.
Yes.
Yeah, that was very interesting, to say the least. But tell us a little bit about what they did down here in the basement.
This is the basement area, and this was an area where they would bring some of the criminally insane down. And behind you here we have 2 of the cells, and these doors are wooden doors. They're about 4 inches thick, and they have locks on and bars on the top. And people would be put in here, and from what we were told, there's a possibility they may have been left there even to die. There's cages or bars surrounding the stairwells here because some patients used to jump to their death there. There's reports that others were pushed down. So they put the bars up as a safety precaution so that couldn't happen. But where they ended up would be here on the ground floor. And a lot of very unusual activity and experiences have been reported down here.
Well, what's the actual history of this place?
This started out as a poor farm. So people who didn't have a lot of money could come and live here and work the farm and be a part of that. And as time went on, it was turned into a state insane asylum. And from there, it became a convalescent home, and moved on in later years to an animal research facility. And in one of the rooms here, they still have cages that a lot of animals were kept in, and the lab equipment is also here in some of the laboratories. And more currently, it was taken over by an electronics business.
Well, you also said that there used to be an incinerator in the back.
There was.
And what happened?
And there's a grim history to that as well. It's reported that a lot of the patients who died here, whose family did not claim them, or they believed there was some type of disease that they did not want out there, they would be incinerated right here on the property. Again, in later years, when the animals were being studied, they were put to sleep and later incinerated on the property as well.
Well, it's an interesting place for sure, and we're going to be back with more history about the former Blakely Insane Asylum here on Northeast Current. Welcome back into Northeast Current on the ION Network. Thank you for spending your morning with us. My name is Kate Moss, and we're here this morning with Mark Keyes from the Pennsylvania Paranormal Association, and also author of Chasing Shadows, a new book that we're going to talk about in just a little bit. But Mark, we're here in the Insane Asylum, and the former Blakely Insane Asylum, and you said that the Pennsylvania Paranormal Association, you've done studies here, kind of like your version of ghost hunters, but I know that you guys work completely different. So do you want to tell the viewers about that?
Yeah, we've been here about 4 or 5 times, and we've done several technical investigations here, which most people are used to, where we come in and set up a wide variety of recording equipment, cameras, sound equipment, and we've also come in with psychic mediums also to get their perspective on what's going on here and see if we could line that up with any of the information that we found or historical facts that have happened over the years. And this particular room that we're in right now was one of the hot spots, and there have been 2 separate delivery people on different dates that have actually seen a man looking right out this window here behind us and had notified the owner that they were not being let inside and someone was in there. And we've had activity in this area before. This is an area where the staff will hear footsteps downstairs and come up here and try to find out who's here, but there's never anybody here. And for the first time on one of our more recent investigations, we had 2 different teams who have actually heard footsteps in this room and the room across the hall from us while they were present in the hallway.
Well, this place is so big, but when it was originally built in the 1800s, it was only the middle part, and then they expanded in 1911. Is that correct?
That's right. There's a center part, which is the original building, and there's 2 wings on that were added on at a later date.
And we were talking about the history of the building, that it was a poor farm, then an insane asylum, and then a geriatric home.
That's right.
And when was it closed, do you know?
I don't recall. It's gone through several owners. It's currently in operation now as an electronics manufacturing business. The dates that each business has moved out, I'm not really sure.
But besides the footsteps, what other kinds of paranormal experiences did you have when you were here?
We have a lot of sightings of what people would consider a black shadow figure or black mass crossing the hallway. I was fortunate enough to see what I would refer to as a black shadow figure in the middle of a hallway. I watched it walk right in the middle of the hallway, stand there a few seconds, and walk away. And you know, we weren't able to track down what the cause was or who that would have been, but it was by far one of the most experiential things that I've gone through here. But we have a lot of odd sounds, such as footsteps coming down the hallway, doors opening and closing, the sound of doors slamming, and just a wide variety of activity here.
And the PPA psychic medium, Virginia, that worked with us in Plymouth meeting, that often works with you, she was here as well. What did she find?
She found a variety of things, including some of the patients that, for whatever reason, stuck around here when they died. A lot of them weren't in the right mindset when they died, so this was home to them, and you know, for whatever reason, they just decided to stay here. But she also found a lot of compassionate staff members who died and stayed behind to take care of patients that were still here. And you know, she found a couple characters that you know, weren't necessarily the most popular while they were here, and she wanted to try to help get them out of here so they weren't creating a negative situation for the dead or the living. And she wanted to try to help as many of the patients that, you know, in all essence were trapped here, according to her, to move on. And she felt that some of them were ready to go and some of them still wanted to stay.
I had mentioned ghost hunters before, and the PPA is so different than that, and I know that you do a resolution at the end and a cleansing. That's unique just to the PPA. Tell us about that.
Well, we're a resolution-based team, and what that means is we go beyond a physical investigation, and we take a comprehensive look at the whole entire incident of what's going on, including looking at psychic impressions. And we combine that all together to try to get a very rounded view of what's going on and try to resolve the problem for the client. So we want to not only document activity going on, which you see on most television shows, but we want to find out who's here, why they're here, and if we can help them move on. That's the important part. A lot of clients don't want the activity in their home or their business. So again, we work with the psychic medium who historically we found has been the best at reducing activity. And we then go back and objectively look at the work that she does, and we talk to the clients and see if the activity's been reduced. And more times than not, I would say 99% of the times the activity is either stopped or significantly reduced.
And Mark is the author of a new book called Chasing Shadows, and it's a paranormal book about his experiences personally as a detective. So when we come back, we're going to be talking to Mark about his book. So stay tuned to Northeast Current on the ION Network. We'll be right back. Welcome back into Northeast Current on the ION Network. My name is Kate Moss, and I'm here with Mark Kais, a criminal investigator who just wrote a book. Well, not just. It took you a while to do, right?
It took me a little while, yes.
Chasing Shadows. It's a book that Mark wrote about the paranormal experiences he's had from the point of view of a criminal investigator, which is what you do.
That is.
So tell us a little bit about Chasing Shadows, and why did you call it Chasing Shadows?
It covers about a 30-year period when I had a little experience when I was about 12 years old. I heard my name called, and I couldn't quite figure out what that was back then. And a few years later, it happened to me again. So that sort of propelled me into an interest in studying the paranormal and psychic mediums and UFOs and anything supernatural I was really into. So in my later years, shows like Sightings came on TV, and that just expanded my interest, and I wanted to learn a little bit more, and finally got to the point where watching TV and documentaries and reading books just wasn't doing it for me. I wanted to go out and study psychic mediums in person myself. I wanted to put myself into the haunted locations so I could answer the question for myself: are ghosts real? Do hauntings exist? And the book covers the point from my 12-year-old experience all the way through today, where we were able to go out and study psychic mediums and haunted locations, which led into my wife Lauren and I creating the Pennsylvania Paranormal Association. We realized that there was a great need for resolution cases. People were scared, they didn't know what was going on, so we wanted to go out and help those people as well. But we took a very objective look at that. I wanted to write the book from a point of view as a skeptic person, which I was, going out and studying this stuff, because I think I'm like most people, that they are open to the possibility that maybe ghosts exist or a haunting is possible, but not really sure. So this is the journey of my process going through this, and I'm a criminal investigator, so I wanted to look at each case like a crime. And we would go in, and obviously we're looking for evidence, but we wanted that evidence to point to somebody. Most teams are trying to document evidence to prove a haunting. We wanted to document evidence to point to a person. And we wanted to back that up with historical information, with psychic impressions, and finally put it all together to see if it's possible that a single person could fit the identity of whoever was causing the activity at a place. But then we went beyond that to try to resolve the case for the people. So it was that whole experience over 30 years of me having a personal experience dealing with psychic mediums and going out and investigating and creating a group, and I put it all together in a nice book.
And you said you had your first experience at 12 years old.
I did.
What happened?
It was very, very minor, but essentially I was in my backyard cutting the grass, and I heard my name yelled right behind me, and it was loud and clear. It was no mistake, no, hearing a weird sound that I thought maybe it was my name called. It was my name called, and I couldn't understand what it was. I thought, maybe it's just my mind, or was it? And about 4 or 5 years later, I had a very similar experience, but inside my house. So I knew it was real at that point, but I didn't know what it was. And, I didn't know if it was some kind of spirit. Was it just my mind? Was it a psychic experience? I didn't know. So that led me to start reading about psychic information and hauntings and ghosts, and it just sort of snowballed from there and kept me going for the next 30-some years.
Well, your baby, Chasing Shadows, how long did it take you to write?
Well, like I said, it's a 30-year process. I really wanted to start writing it when I first got into this field. I kept notes for every investigation that I've ever done and had intended on putting it all together somehow at the end, and I didn't know how. And the book physically to write took me probably about 4 or 5 months total, and obviously I work a full-time job and I have a family, so I could only work on it when I had time to do it, but it was about a 4 to 5 month process.
And your wife edited it, if I'm correct. Okay. And tell our viewers, where could they find you if they wanted to contact you?
The best place to find out about the book would be at Row Publishing, but you could go onto our website, theppa.net, for the Pennsylvania Paranormal Association. That's our website, and there's a link there for Chasing Shadows. It's available on Amazon.com, Barnes & Nobles, and you can ask for it anywhere books are sold.
And you also have Let's Plug Your Radio show on Sunday nights that I was part of one time. That was a lot of fun. Tell us about that.
It's a great show. It's Sunday nights at 8 o'clock on WILK, and it covers everything supernatural. It's called Paranormal Science, and we want to get to the science behind everything supernatural, what makes it happen. And again, we take a very objective look at everything we deal with there, and we bring in a lot of people from a lot of different backgrounds and just get different perspectives on what they think is going on out there, and different things such as psychic ability, near-death experiences, out-of-body travel, Reiki, holistic healing, all that kinds of stuff.
So why did you call the book Chasing Shadows?
There's a few different reasons that I named the book that. Number one, I think one of the most prevalent reports that we get from people are that they see shadows or shadow figures moving through their homes. And every single report that people tell us about, we look into. And most of those are shadows, so we quite often are trying to duplicate shadows and see if we could find the causes for whatever they saw. But as most people who do this kind of research will tell you, just when you think you have your hand on what's going on there, everything changes, and what you thought you knew changes, and a lot of times you feel like you're out there just chasing shadows, and you can't really get to the bottom of things. So I thought it was an appropriate name for the book.
Well, I want to thank you for being with us this morning on Northeast Current, and we'd love to do an investigation with you again.
Oh, we'd love to have you out.
Well, that would be great. And thank you again for spending your morning with us here on Northeast Current on the ION Network as we took a look at the former Blakely Insane Asylum, yet another historical place here in Northeast PA. My name is Kate Moss, and we'll see you again next week. The light should have went on, but it didn't.
But it didn't.
Dun, dun, dun.
Now here I've been.
Oh, this is creepy. Back. Regina's like totally freaked out. It's the spirit. Will we make it out alive?
Very good. Did you? Very good. Okay, I will get you down in just a second.
You never know it.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's the ones that you never know.
There we go.
Yeah, okay. I met your brother Pete.
Who's her brother?
No, yours. Pete Moss.
Oh, that went right over my head. Okay. Okay. He's a Fruit Loop. I know, we're smart. What should I call this place?
And a photographer, they were taking some kind of pictures, but it was so freaky. Well, don't ask me about anything up here because I've never been here before.
It's all boarded up. That's the freaky part. Ooh. Ooh. Good. Go for it.
Okay. I practiced for that.
Did you?
I did.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you grab this and then I'll hoist myself?
Oh God, I can't look down. I can't look down.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Look at this. I've never been up here either.
We have to climb up that thing? Could you do it?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Oh God, coming back in is going to be interesting.
I didn't know we'd be doing calisthenics
Oh, boy.
today.